There are loads of quiz books on the market and many of them are rubbish. How good is this one? So this book, the Big Pub Quiz book, has just been published. It's written by David McGaughey and Jack Waley-Cohen. You might know those names. They write for the TV show Only Connect. They also are directors and writers for Quiz Quiz Quiz. So now they've created a book, and this has 10,000 general knowledge questions. It's called a pub quiz book, so I'm going to review it in that context. How does this book measure up as a pub quiz book? I spent much of the last weekend going through this book and answering the questions in my head and just seeing how it had been constructed and what I thought of it. So here is my rundown. So they've taken their regular daily quiz, which they post on Twitter, and they've taken 368 of those quizzes and they've put them in the first section of this book, which means 5 times 368, you do the math. But what it does mean is that you've got tried and tested questions here. It's a nice format that they've been doing for a while and they do it well. Now they've got 29 family-friendly quizzes in here, and you would expect family-friendly quizzes to perhaps err on the side of being very easy, so they can be inclusive of children. I think what they've done here is just mix the questions up a bit, so there's something in here for everyone. The next section is ready-made quizzes, and each quiz has 4 different rounds, and some of them have different kind of gimmicky rounds. They list them at the start of the chapter. So you've got alphabet, we give you the first letter of each answer. Follow on, each answer has 1 letter or number more than the previous answer. The chain, the last letter of one answer is the first letter of the next one. Missing link, where you're trying to find connections. Mystery year, speaks for itself. Double trouble, some answers appear twice. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You need to give 5 answers for the first question, 4 for the second, 3 for the third. Culture clash, which if you watch Richard Osman's House of Games, you would think of as highbrow, lowbrow. And up and down, which is usually played as the last round of a quiz. You get an extra point for a correct answer, -1 for an incorrect answer. So up or down. So they're giving you kind of the framework, not only the questions, but the framework for a quiz, these ready-made quizzes. And again, I like the fact that what they're saying is, use these questions, use them as your own in a quiz format. This is what this book is for. It's a resource. They are not kind of holding tight onto their intellectual property. They want this stuff used, and the questions are good. The next section is subject rounds, and it just speaks for itself. You look at geography, they have got 20 geography rounds of 10 questions each. So you've got 200 geography questions, 200 history and politics, 200 film, 200 arts. I think my takeaway from this is, if you think about quiz questions as being sort of level 1 to 5, level 1 everybody should know, 2 bit more knowledge required, 3 harder, 4 genuine hard knowledge needed, and 5 specialist knowledge needed. This book is giving you your 1s, 2s and 3s. So if you're new to quizzing, this book is a really good resource for giving you those basic answers. There's enough tough ones in there, there's enough 3s and 4s to merit it being of use to perhaps more experienced quizzers, and certainly anybody from outside the UK who's playing in UK quiz leagues, this would be invaluable for. But I like the fact that it's going to cover the 1s and it's going to cover the 2s quite heavily. Now, beyond the subject rounds, beyond the 200 questions on a particular topic, they've also got specialist subjects, and this is where they're doing one-off 10-question quizzes. And we've got things like Scottish football, Chris Morris, amphibians and reptiles, I flick through, conservatives, Martin Luther King Jr., underwater creatures, the Swallows and Amazons book series, 90s US comedy. So there's a lot of one-off specialist rounds, which again are good if you're doing a pub quiz and you're trying to keep it varied from week to week. So quite like that format. And then they've got something else, which is their quirky rounds. 10 questions on tall supporting characters or classic British chocolate biscuits, dresses, rock star offspring, golden age of neighbours. There's a lot of creativity and a lot of thought gone into this. So you have 10,000 questions thoughtfully put together here. The quality of the writing is really, really good. The difficulty level is appropriate for pub quizzes, but there is also something to offer there to people who do higher level quizzing than that, or are trying to immerse themselves in the British canon, British pop culture, British history. This is a book I think that's got quite good appeal to a wide range of people. It is family friendly. If I had one criticism, it would be that it is very UK centric, but then it's a pub quiz book and it is aimed at the UK market. But it would perhaps be quite nice to see greater diversity in the subject matter, in terms of gender, in terms of race, and in terms of international coverage. That said, if you were to face these questions in a pub quiz, you would not come away complaining. You would think that you were at a well-crafted, enjoyable quiz with quite a bit of variety and a lot of thought that's been put into it. So would I recommend this book? Well, the retail price is £9.99. That's 999 pence, for which you get 10,000 questions. That's really good value, particularly when the questions are as good as these ones. I haven't found any errors, and I haven't read all 10,000 questions, but nonetheless, to go through a book and not spot glaring errors or bad typos or lack of care is quite something. And if you run quizzes and you want some inspiration for something new, some different answer lines or different gimmicks with your rounds, you could do a lot worse than getting this book and using that as a resource. The only problem, of course, is as soon as people cotton on to the fact you're using this book, your advantage disappears out the window, so keep that one stum. So let me now give some scores for different aspects of this book. Firstly, content. This is a pub quiz book, so in that context, I think it really hits the mark. I think the content is good, it is varied, it is of different difficulties, there are different formats of round. There's a lot of variety in here. 10,000 questions is a lot of questions, so out of 20, I would give it 18. Format. I like the format. I like the fact that the answers are directly below the rounds. I think that doesn't happen enough, and I think that's a real asset to this book. It's easy to find the different sections because of the printing on the page ends, so that's pretty useful as well. And as far as quiz books go, it is pretty well laid out. It's not revolutionary, but it's good. So in terms of format, I'd give it a strong 16. Practicality. How do you use this book? Well, if you're a quizzer looking to improve your quizzing, you can focus on some key areas with the themed rounds, the specialist rounds, even the quirky rounds. That allows you to focus on what you want to be learning, so that's good. If you run quizzes, then it also makes it easy for you to pick questions or pick rounds out of this book and utilize them. So I would give this a score of 17 out of 20. So annoyances. There aren't any real striking annoyances. It works well within its own context. Now, I haven't read all of the questions, but it is pretty Anglo-centric and it is pretty kind of geared to more traditional pub quizzing. I think some diversification in terms of content matter could have gone a long way. You know, I think this book and Quiz 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 are really good examples of the genre, and it would be nice to see boundaries pushed perhaps a little bit more than they did, more than the odd quirky round here or there, but actually throughout the book. So that, in terms of annoyances, not huge ones, but I'd say it's 18 out of 20 because it is very, very strong. In terms of longevity, I think this is a book which will stand the test of time. I think it will remain on your bookshelf until perhaps you've worn out this version and you want the latest edition of it. So I think longevity wise, it gets a really good score. It gets 19 out of 20 for me. So based on that score, we can recommend this book. It is amongst the best of breed in its genre, and if you want a shortcut to buying a copy of the book, then there is a link below in the description. Now, if there is a product that you want us to review, then let us know. We are quite happy to review anything that comes our way, but we will do it independently. If we love it, we'll say so. If we hate it, we'll say so. But we will still review it and put it up here so that you, our viewers, can be better informed about what's out there and where to spend your money. Thank you for watching this video, and please continue to support All Things Quiz. We really do appreciate you watching our videos, liking them and subscribing. Until next time, goodbye.